ABC, it's Dr. Robert, just back from Austin, and really had a lot of fun down there. Met a lot of members of the vinyl community that I had not met in person, but just knew from their videos and live streams. Also met up with some friends from the Northwest and other West Coast, the Waxed, Dana Kimbowitz or Kimbo, and of course Mazzy, and found a lot of great records. So I'm going to show some interviews I did at the show and some time we had at the show, as well as a little snippet from the Airbnb that Mazzy and the Waxed and Kimbo had rented, and then I'm going to show you briefly to wrap up a few of the videos a few of the records I found. I'm not going to be able to show all, but I'll give you a taste. So stay tuned.
Well, so for me, I just go look for things unless I'm looking for.
All right, sports fans, here we are at the Austin Record Convention, and I've just been at the table here with Henry and Dan, father and son. Drove down from Chicago, and so they're on an adventure. And I just bought a pretty hefty stack of some cool jazz and soul records. So, Henry, how do you find this stuff? How do you find the records you come sell here?
You go to other shows, you get calls from people, wherever the opportunity knocks.
Right. How long you staying in Austin?
We'll be gone tomorrow after the show. We start heading back.
Heading back tomorrow. Yeah. You got stuff to attend to back home. Yeah.
I don't. I'm retired.
Yeah, you're retired. Congratulations on that. So, well, I enjoyed your stand, and I got. Let me see. I got 3 words for you at least. Go Pack Go. Go Pack Go.
Can I give down to a finger for you?
I'll take it as it's meant. I'm sure it's well meant.
All right. What's the most famous saying Vince Lombardi ever said?
Nobody's blocking. No, what is it? I don't know. No, what is it?
My favorite. It's different though. It says winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. The one I like is, well, then run it and let's get the hell out of here during the freeze bowl or whatever that was.
Bart Starr.
That's right. Bart Starr come up and he said he laughed all the way back to the huddle.
Yeah.
He says, "Go run it.
Let's get the hell out of here." Well, you guys have a safe trip back. I really enjoyed talking.
Good meeting you.
Likewise. Take care. Here's another just fun table here at the Austin Record Show, and I'm going to give you a chance. Just can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your enterprise back home in Tucson?
Sure. My name's Steve Purdy. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and I own a record company and a record label called Lysergic Sound Distributors, aka LSD Records.
Can we see your t-shirt there? Yeah, there you go.
Well, it's got a back too.
Yeah, well, let's see that. There you go. All right, nice promo.
So I've been doing this probably for at least 25, 30 years. Started out collecting records and found this great, interesting stuff that people didn't know about. I thought, this is so good, it needs to be reissued. So we got into the reissue business and started doing that.
Right.
It's been very successful.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
You meet totally interesting people.
Right.
Totally crazy people, but very nice people.
Yeah.
Vinyl people are great people.
Yeah, and we were talking about this,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And Austin is the best record show in the United States.
Yeah, this is my first time here. I don't know how many.
It won't be your last.
It won't be. But
It's super fun.
how many years you been coming?
I started in 1997.
Here?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, I haven't been at every show. I took, matter of fact, this is the first show I've been to since 2019, so it's 5 years.
Wow.
I took a little break for various reasons, but I'm back now, and I'll probably be back till I can't carry records anymore.
Oh, man.
Because this is so much fun.
Yeah.
Great people. A lot of people I get to see once a year.
Right.
From, you name it, Germany, France, England, Australia, and all my, U.S. buddies.
Right.
So I want to come as long as I can.
Right. Well, I've been meeting friends, at least a dozen folks I know from the vinyl community are down here. So you drove down with your partner, is that right?
I drove down. It's about 1,100 miles, and it's so much fun driving a 20-year-old Toyota truck hauling a trailer. I'd like to do it every week, but but we get here and we, thank God, have minimal trials and tribulations. But it's always a good deal, and we always have fun, so it's worth it.
Right, exactly.
And like I said, I'll come as long as I can.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm delighted to meet you.
Same here.
And we'll stay in touch. We were talking about how, if somebody doesn't like music, it's almost like somebody that doesn't like a dog.
Right. And you said that you had your dog analogy. Well, mine is kind of similar, because my idea is regarding farts.
Yeah.
And I say farts are proof that God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Well, I think that's proof that you have a sense of humor.
or something. Something's wrong with me, okay? Thanks much, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm starting with Mazzy.
Hi, Doc. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. I've known you a couple years now, and
I won't have
it's
folks that
been
I don't
great.
do,
Thank you.
3 years.
I wasn't counting.
Hey.
A couple can be three, all right? You know,
All right. I'll accept a couple as 3.
you know that song Triad. You ought to know what it'll be. Me and you. Triad. Three-way.
Who sings it?
Well, Jeff Airplane and David Crosby, the Birds.
Oh.
The Birds wouldn't let him put them on the album.
Right.
Grace Slick sings it on Sonic Creations.
Yeah.
You probably can hear me. Just, I don't know.
I don't know if that'll come through or
Who or
not.
someone else.
Yeah.
Nothing here to see.
Let me say, Mazzy is the host, and always an elegant host. Yeah, pretty much the host. Kind of the host. I'm not interviewing.
But every time I turn around, it's like life requires more discipline. I'm fucking sick of it.
Catching the vibe.
Yeah, and you're
Hello.
right too. The other one, no quarter.
Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Okay. This is what's going on down here in Austin. And we're watching Willy Wonka. Of course, why would we not be? All right. Well, I am here outside the show proper with Nathan and Doug. And I was lucky enough to stumble onto Nathan and Doug's selling stand here this morning, and got informed by the matriarch of the family that this was a family enterprise and that these were actually the founders of the Austin Record Show. So, first of all, just can you introduce yourselves and tell me how this all started?
Okay, I'm Doug, and this is my son Nathan. I started it in '81, and it grew, and I couldn't. I'm not much of a tech guy. He is, and anyway, he took it over 10 years ago.
Something like that. 8, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, he took it over, and he's bumped it up another level.
Right.
I don't know about that, but we're trying to reach our peak late 80s height of success, which you can imagine that I've been here, working at it since I was a little kid, and in the 80s the show was really big, and then CDs didn't really shrink it that much, but streaming music had started to kind of shrink a bit. For a while there, he would always say, "Well, I wish I could leave you this show, Nathan, but it's probably on its way out. It's a shame. We had a good run." But then, as we all know now, the vinyl resurgence has happened and the show's getting bigger and bigger. So It's really great that we kept it going, and mostly due to Mom and Dad's super hard work, for the last 40 years. And the growth of Austin has helped a lot. I would say the popularity of records plus the growth of the city has made the shows getting bigger and bigger every year. And now we're basically back where we were in the 80s, if not bigger. So it's been a while.
This show is the biggest ever.
Probably the biggest.
Of all time so far, this year was the biggest.
I think so, yeah. We'll have to see by the end of the day, but it's pretty close.
Wow. Well, and I know you guys this is the biggest show in the United States.
Yes.
As far as I know,
Yeah.
in terms of
It is.
tables and space,
I think it is for the numbers,
Attendance.
any level attendance. The biggest show in the world is Utrecht.
Right,
But that's,
right.
that's what it is. But Austin's been such a music town for so long.
Right.
It's always been a destination for people. But it's gotten so huge. But that's good and that's bad. The growth has
Right.
helped and hurt.
Well, you guys are clearly doing something right. The reputation that I know is that it is the biggest in the United States.
Yeah,
I've
well,
heard that too.
I think that's
so,
without a doubt.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah. It's just.
North America probably.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
all in
maybe.
North America.
So,
Yeah.
You
So-
know, and we have people come from all over the world, South America, Japan, all over Europe, you know, and they're all over there. They hear so many languages in there, it's like we're at the UN.
I know.
of records.
It's crazy how far people come in. It never cease to amaze me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I told you guys I had probably a dozen friends from the YouTube vinyl community that made the trip down here from places well away from Austin. So
That's great.
So
I gotta say, one of the coolest things about recent years has been, you know, recent years being the last decade, let's say, is being able to go on. This didn't used to be a thing. We would, you know, we'd have the show in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, and people would, you know, we'd be exhausted. The show would end, and we'd think, oh, I guess that was a pretty good show. There were a lot of people, you know, whatever. But now you can go on social media and see all the people that visited, all the hashtags, you know, that we love when they tag us because we can see what you bought.
Of course.
So now we know, oh, this person came from, you know, Washington State, and look at all the records they got, and they were super into Prague or whatever it was, and it's really fulfilling to see their enthusiasm and see the kind of things people find. That's a feedback loop that we didn't have, you know, over a decade ago. So
Right.
it's really cool to see that now.
With Facebook and the internet, it's
yeah.
changed everything, but
Yeah.
he's, like I said, bumped it way up.
Well, I've got one question for each of you here as we're, because I know you got to get back to work. I've seen how busy you guys are here. So, Doug, I wanted to ask you, so what made you start this back in 1981?
Okay, well, I used to work at Discount Records, which was a CBS-owned chain. It had a store downtown on the Drag. I worked there for 5 years and got to know and interested in records. And they had a show in Houston, and I went to it, a record show like ours, like this. And this was in the late 70s, and I came back and I said, well, this is crazy. Austin's a music town, so let's start one here. And so I had been just doing mail orders, so we started it in 81, and over in the park at a little clubhouse, and we were obliterated with people. So I said, well, this needs to move to. So we came down to the old Municipal Auditorium across the road in the basement, expanded to the main floor, and then when they replaced that with the Fine Arts took that over, they built this, and so we moved it over here, and it's been here for.
Since like 2014, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, well, for a while we kind of bounced around to some other places in North Austin that were, you know, but we really liked being back here in Central Austin. So we were worried for a while that people would mind paying for parking, because back in the day,
Yeah,
the
it
old
was free.
auditorium was free
sure.
and had that big parking lot. But it turns out people, you know, Austin these days,
Everything-
$10 or whatever it is a
Yes.
deal actually.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's, everything's expensive in Austin, but it's just the music thing. But anyway, it was just a lucky thing, my record shop and knowing people through it, and then
and general admission is still only $5. When was the last time we raised the price? Like maybe 6?
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been like $5 admission for
I know.
30 something years, maybe 40 years.
Yeah, $5 is very reasonable. So.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Well, we're holding out. We really try not to raise the prices because we know that we want people to spend the money on records, so we do our best.
And it's we try to have the hospitality for all the people that come,
Yeah,
and,
right.
give them a break because it's a lot of expense to come
Right,
down.
right.
There's a lot of interest in records. It's just crazy, Even really little kids, it just blows
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
I was telling this lady that brought her kids, she was saying, we kids under 12 are free at our show, and she was trying to pay for them. And I said, no, actually, because the kid was clearly here to buy records. He had bag and a music t-shirt on, and he was got to be 7. And I was like,
man.
I should give you a discount for bringing the kid, creating new record collectors.
Yeah, right.
But we love
Yeah.
to see that. It's crazy to see the really little kids into vinyl already. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
So it's been great.
It's very cool. So my question for Nathan, my son and my daughter, I've tried to get them interested in records, and so far limited. So what drew you in watching your parents do this? What made you want to continue that legacy?
I'm not as much of a vinyl collector as you would think. He has like 3 orders of magnitude more records than I do. I have maybe a couple hundred. I do like buying records, and I buy, the artists I'm into and stuff, but I'm not super hardcore. I mostly like this event. Like, this event is the thing that I'm a fan of, and it's just because I love watching being in the mix of it, seeing all the people, seeing their enthusiasm, hearing what they're into, seeing the people come from all over, seeing their face when someone who's never been here before walks into the main room and is just like blown away with how big it is. I love that. So
And he's a musician. He's a good guitar player, and he plays in multiple bands, so he has all those connections. So it's great.
I do love music. Yeah, I'm just not a. So yeah, I'm into it for the love of the event itself. It's been a part of my life since I can remember.
Right.
My kids are kind of into vinyl. You know, it's I think kind of it's becoming a normal thing to have vinyl now. It's like it's popular enough again. It's not kind of like it's not as quirky as it was maybe 20 years ago. You know, so I haven't really kind of pushed on them or anything, or tried to, you know. With my kids, the more I suggest things, the more uncool they think it is. So I sort of not said anything, and they've sort of got a couple, and they come to this, you know, every year, and so now they've got a couple records of their own. So we'll see if it snowballs it to their grandfather's level or not. It might.
I'm trying to.
Well, I think you just described a normal, healthy parent-child relationship, and you know, I just want to say congratulations on an incredible legacy, and the fact that it's a family project speaks even more to me. So, thank you guys for taking a few minutes.
Thanks for coming.
You.
My pleasure. So last night it was Antone's Blues Club. Today, Antone's Records. Founded by the same Mr. Antone. So back with some of the records I found. So I'm going to flip through these fairly quickly. There's about 14 records I think I counted. But just to give you a sense of the breadth of what was available there. And then I'll show a couple that I found in a record store in Austin, because the Austin Record Show, it's great. It doesn't really represent the Austin vinyl community necessarily. You know, it's got vendors from all over the country there, and people haul records out. I talked to several of these guys, you know, they had spent 2 days driving to get there because it is such, you know, it is the biggest show in North America, and so it is worth the effort. So also, we wanted to shout out to Michael Samples. I saw him. He's from the Northwest. He's not really in the you know, the online vinyl community, but he runs the record show up in Seattle, and we went out and saw a great band. He and my wife and I went out with him, and this band was called The Resentments. Man, they were good. Really, like I said, a lot of fun times. So here's the first record I'll show. This is Shiva's Headband. They are an Austin band. They've been around since the 60s. This record came out in the 70s, late 70s, 78. It's really bluesy, great record. So a couple of psych records, that's one. Here's another one, The Leaves, Hey Joe. I found this for $20. That's a steal on this record. Of course it has their version of Hey Joe, which is really good, but it's just a great deep psych record from the late 60s. Found several British kind of prog psych records. Here's one of them that I've been looking for a while. This is Robert Wyatt. Ruth is Stranger Than Richard. That's on the Virgin label.
It's from 1975. He was, of course, a founding member of Soft Machine. Really great record. This is one that was quite rare. This is one of the more expensive records I bought. It was a couple $100 down there, but it's hard to find in any situation. And this is a near perfect original British pressing on Virgin as well. I really enjoyed that. And then one of the founders of Gong and was also a member of Soft Machine initially, David Allen. This is a solo record or a record with Uterp, and I'm not sure who Uterp is, but this is called Good Morning, and also on the Virgin label, 1976. These were reasonably priced, so those are just rare to find, and here they were. Those were sitting all together on one vendor's table. I found several records, and this was one that I picked up at one of the local record stores, but a fair amount of soul music. And this is a great record. I think it's Johnny Guitar Watson's first record. Came out in 1967 on the King label. This is a later reissue in the stereo format, also on King. Played it today. It is great, smoking hot, and he is a great singer. So really loved finding that record. He reminds me a lot of like a male version of Etta James. That's says a lot, I think. This was one that was really cool, autograph version of Soul Men, and this was a father-son team that had this on their stand at the record show. Here's another one I found at the record show, O.V. Wright. This is a white label promo on the High label, High Records label out of Memphis. Has the hype sticker up here. I don't do Windows. I pick up his stuff when I find it. And here was another one that I really like. Great record. Billy Paul, this guy's voice is just amazing. And he started as a jazz singer, and you can really tell that he's just got jazz styling in the way he approaches soul music. This was his second LP, and it was on the Neptune Records label out of Philadelphia. He's out of Philadelphia, and played on the, made a lot of records on the Gamblin' Huff Philadelphia International label. Really an incredible performer, and I think he doesn't get the recognition he deserves, I'll say that, but really enjoyed finding that. Found several jazz records. This was one actually that the Waxed had gotten and already had a copy, so I inherited it from him. I think we're still to settle up, but I'm good for it, Waxed, I am. This is a reissue of Playboy's Chet Baker album, Picture of Heath, which is, instead of Picture of Health, it's a pun. Most of the songs on this record were written by Jimmy Heath, who is the brother of, who's the other Heath? Percy Heath. He's his brother, but also a musician, but he doesn't play on the record, but they used his compositions. It's a great group. Art Pepper, Carl Perkins, Curtis Counts, Phil Urso. So really, and it's in beautiful shape. So that's a second pressing of that, but very cool. There's another one I'm really pleased to have found, Abby Lincoln. Hard to find her stuff in any condition. This is on the Riverside original label, Mono, from 1957, and that is in minty shape. Didn't find a lot of country, but a little, but it's not really my main thing, but I do like country music from some performers. Wanda Jackson here is somebody that I will pick up when I find her records. She, of course, started as rockabilly, and, maybe probably the best known female rockabilly artist, and she's still, even on her country records, this one came out in '65, Blues in My Heart, there's at least several that have a really hard driving guitar, more in a rock and roll vein than what I would call traditional country. And then I wanted to show these records. These were two that I found out at Antone's record store, and you saw the intro as I walked into Antone's. So there was Antone's Blues Club, where we went, and then a second Antone's record store, which apparently they were both founded by the same Mr. Antone, and I'm not going to get his first name, but two interesting music-related venues in the city of Austin. started by Mr. Antone that still are going and still bear his name. There's another record store in or adjacent to the Jazz Club or the Blues Club. But this one, Bruce Hancock, a West Texas songwriter, originally from Lubbock, plays with Joe Eli Joe Eli in a band called the Flatlanders, and also in that is Jimmy Gilmore, and found 2 records by Bruce Hancock. These are both on a local independent label called Rainlight Records, and most of the songs on here are written by Butch Hancock, and they are just fantastic. And Jimmy Dale Gilmore is on this live one as well. Firewater Seeks Its Own Level. That's a great title, great song, and you just don't find these. So this is what I was talking about. I always enjoy going to local record stores and trying to find music that's, as I call it, indigenous to the area. And you find different things everywhere you go. And for me, that's one of the funnest parts of buying records and traveling and looking for records in different cities. Every city sort of has its own footprint. And last, I'm going to show this. This one's a little bit of a mystery, and if anybody can tell me anything about it in the comments, I'd appreciate it. This is Zappa in New York, and it has both the printing about Punky's Whips and on the vinyl. Punky's Whips is on the record, which was banned and taken off by Warner Brothers Discreet Records when the record first came out. I've talked about that in other videos. Supposedly there was never a US version made available that has the actual Punky's Whips on it. I have a US version where the cover talks about or lists Punky's Whips as being on it and has the lyrics to Punky's Whips on the inside of the cover, but it is not on the actual album, and they've substituted Big Leg Emma on the last song on side 1. This one has it, and it is a US pressing, but when I go on Discogs, what it tells me is that this is a not a bootleg, basically a bootleg, an unofficial release, as they say. But it's interesting because Discogs usually doesn't allow resale of unofficial pressings. This one's been sold on Discogs, so I don't know how Discogs is viewing it. They're apparently not viewing it as a bootleg or as one where the artists are not getting royalties or payment for sale. So it's interesting. There are no there are no gaps between the songs. So it's each side is just a full spiral groove start to finish, which is unusual. But the labels look legit. The cover looks legit, and it plays cleanly. So if anybody has any information on that, I would appreciate it. There's not much on Discogs about it, and I'm kind of left wondering: is it a true original pressing, or was it an illegitimate repressing made, an unofficial repressing made later that went back and included Punky's Whips? Either way, it's an interesting record. So that's what I got. A lot of fun, and look forward to going back. This is my first time to the Austin Record Show. It's definitely on my list and worth the effort, both as a seller and a buyer, and just from a social standpoint. You meet a lot of interesting people, as I think you can tell from my videos. So until next time, the doctor is out.
You went in the middle too.